I used to come back from every holiday thinking that I'd set myself back weeks. And it wasn't because I'd done anything particularly bad, just because I had no real structure and the guilt of it made everything worse. So my wife and I are in Corfu for the next 7 nights on our first wedding anniversary. I'm filming this to show you what staying in shape actually looks like on a real holiday in peak season in August, without coming back like a bag of milk, hopefully, or restricting myself so that my wife divorces me because of how boring I am. Because let's be honest, most fitness content makes it sound like complete restriction, like you're managing something rather than actually enjoying the thing that you're on. And after many years of getting this wrong before getting it right, the turning point was realizing the holiday was never the problem. Who would have thought? It was that all or nothing thinking around it. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what I do to stay in shape without my wife divorcing me and without becoming completely boring or turned into a bag of milk, and what specifically I recommend my clients do and definitely not do. It is currently 7:15 in the morning. It's 2 hours ahead here in Greece, and I'm someone who gets up really early. For example, I'll get up at 5 a.m. and because it's 2 hours ahead, that equates to around 7 a.m. here. So I'm coming out, getting a little mooch down the bottom before I go and do a gym session. So like I said in this video, I'm going to show you my exact routine to try and stay in the best shape possible, but without being completely weird about it and overtaking my life. Look at this, this is unbelievable to start a morning. And I'm also going to tell you my nutritional protocol. It's not a protocol at all. It's just a strategy to try and keep the bloat to a minimum. And I'm going to take you along with me. So for now, enjoy the B-roll, enjoy the views. And next up, we've got a gym session. So it is currently just gone 5:30 in the evening. And we've had a full day of, well, not really doing that much, to be fair. I'm going to make sure that you're angled this way, and I'm not facing you that way purely because the light isn't great. So we got here yesterday at around 2 o'clock, that's the time we landed anyway, and we got to this hotel in North Corfu in a place called Kalami, which is amazing, as you would have seen on the videos. And it's one of those where it's relatively quiet, although you can probably hear quite a lot of noise in the minute, because pretty much everything which I've just showed you, like beachfront, the few cafes and restaurants there are literally right there. But we got here yesterday to the hotel probably about 3 o'clock, so we've been here about 26 hours give or take, and we're spending 7 nights here. We got married last year, August 16th, 2025, and this Sunday coming, I'm filming this on Tuesday, it'll be our first year wedding anniversary. If you follow me on social media, you know that my wife is also pregnant. We're expecting our first child in December at the end of the year. So it's also turned into a bit of a baby moon, as well as they like to call it. So the only thing is it's absolutely boiling here at the minute. I think today it's been 37, 38 degrees Celsius, which if you're American, I think that is give or take around 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It is very hot. And I'm also going to tell you exactly how I navigate that with my nutrition so that I don't turn into an absolute slob and look horrific. So if I rewind maybe 10 years ago, or maybe even 5 to 10 years ago, when I was in my early 20s, and I used to go on holiday, especially all-inclusives, I used to just go full fuck it mode. And what I mean by that is I would essentially just go on holiday and I'd come back like multiple kilos heavier. And if you, just by the way, if you're someone who doesn't care about that, then this video is not for you. This video is for people who obviously want to go away on holiday and enjoy themselves, but don't want to feel like they come back really out of shape and they feel really bloated and like a slob and they feel like they've got a load of work to do just get that excess weight off. And what I've found over the last couple of holidays that I've been on over the last few years, there is a method to not doing that, essentially, while still enjoying the holiday. Here's how I navigate this, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm going to eat throughout today. So we started off the day, woke up at around 7:15 in the morning, and I did a gym session. There is a less than ideal gym, as you know when you come to these type of hotels, especially across Europe. The gyms aren't always amazing. So I ended up doing a full body session if you've followed me on Instagram, you'll know that I have got a bit of a shoulder injury at the minute. So I can't do a lot of the exercises, like pull-ups for example. I can't do any shoulder presses, I can't do any heavy chest presses. I can only do certain movements. But as you can see on the screen here, I did manage to get in a good few exercises, did some cable presses, I did some single arm cable rows, which I managed, did some split squats, did some dumbbell curls, and I also did some tricep pushdowns. So that's the first thing that I always do when I'm on holiday. Ideally, I'll always make sure we either one, book a hotel which has a gym, even if it's less than ideal, or two, have some type of apartment or hotel which is near a gym. I don't actually know if there's any gyms around this area. I highly doubt it. So it's just as well that this hotel does. So after the gym, get a good sweat on, and as I said, it is very hot, even at that time of the morning, so I do burn a good few calories. And then I have my breakfast, which is often high protein, high fat, and low carb. So this is step number one of what I didn't used to do. A few years ago, especially if we had breakfast included, or even if we went out for breakfast, in this one we do have breakfast included, but I would just go all out. It was almost like, as the old saying goes, my eyes were bigger than my belly. So I got to the point where I'd go to breakfast and I'd essentially just have a look what was about, and I'd just eat everything. So I'd have some cereal, I'd have some cakes which are out, I'd have almost a full English breakfast, eggs, sausages, beans, the lot, toast. And what I found is that I felt really full afterwards, and was most likely consuming somewhere around 1,500 calories just for breakfast, which is absolutely mental. So what I'll do now, and as you'll see on the screen here, is I keep it high protein, high fat, minimal carb. The only carb that I intake is from fruit. So yes, they're from sugar, but I know they're from more of a healthy source. So I'm getting the protein in, I'm getting the fats in, and I'm getting my carbs in only from fruit. And as you can see here, I'll almost have like two separate portions. So I'll have first off the hot food, aka the protein, like the eggs for example, and then I'll go back and I'll go get a big bowl of fruit. Often with a lot of these types of hotels, you can just stock up on as much as possible. So that's the first thing I do. I keep breakfast high protein, high fat, and then I make sure that I'm not consuming all the cakes and all the donuts and all the sweet treats they have. Although I will do this on the last day of the holiday, or maybe the last 2 days, but for the first few days, or at least half of it, if not actually more towards 3/4, the full 7 days, I'll have this strategy. Because I know that I'm keeping calories down, and then when I move on to lunch, I have another tactic, which I do, which I'm going to tell you in the next clip. And then also for dinner, I have an even better tactic, which works really well for me. But we're going to talk about that later in the video. Towards 5:45 now, this evening, our usual evening routine on holiday, we'll have like an hour now where we're just getting ready, get showered, get changed, and then we'll have a mooch down. We'll have a drink often, which I'm going to talk about later in the video of how I actually do alcohol. Often have maybe 1 or 2 drinks, give or take, but the choice really does matter. And then we have our dinner, usually around 8 o'clock on holiday. We're people at home where we eat a lot earlier. We'll eat more towards 5:30, 6 o'clock. But especially in Greece, it's 2 hours ahead. So 8 o'clock here is like 6 o'clock at home. So it doesn't really make too much of a difference. But we're gonna go get some food later on, and then tomorrow I'm gonna try and get a run in. Although looking at this, as you can see over here, it is very hilly, and there's not really that many places to run. So I'm not really sure how I'm going to do that. I'm most likely going to run somewhere down here, maybe go up a little bit over into the hill, and then come back down. But if I'm totally honest, I'm not too sure how confident I feel about that, especially with how mad people drive over here. So I'll update you on that, and I'll also show you throughout this video how I navigate my workouts, because that is also a big portion of staying in shape while you're away, making sure that you're burning calories and trying to stick to some type of routine. So I'll catch up with you in the next clip. So I've got to speak quietly because it's still early and most people are still asleep, including the missus. I'm going to go for a run this morning. Hopefully I can get up and go up over there, but I'm not too sure about that because it is a little bit sketchy around here with the roads and mad drivers. So let's just see how we get on. So I've just sent off. Again, I'm not too sure how this run's going to go because I don't really know the route at all. And it's going to get really bloody hilly in a second. Luckily though, it's 7:15 and it's not too warm. I've had to stop for a second literally just as I've set off because look at that for a morning view. I'm sorry, but Newcastle isn't quite up to that standard quite yet. Unbelievable scenes. But here we go, we're starting our first hill and I'm right next to the White House, which you would have just seen there, which apparently is on a show which I haven't seen before on the BBC called The Durrells. But either way, there it is. Oh yeah, the camera definitely doesn't do this justice, but it is going to get really quite hilly around here, so I'm not really too sure how it's going to be. So I might have to finish my run on the treadmill in the gym, which is sweaty. But let's just see how this one goes first. So let's fucking go. Update, I bailed on that route because that hill up there is not ideal and it leads to pretty much in the middle of nowhere. Fuck it, I'm going to show you another view. So I decided to come run past the restaurant to come up the other side of the bay, but as you can see, I don't know if it picks it up, but there's a massive fucking hill and I've got to say it's less than ideal running around here with the sketchy drivers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head down the front, waste some time for a bit and hopefully finish my run on the treadmill. Well, that was the sweatiest session I've ever done in my life. So as I said, as I was vlogging on the run, it's less than ideal place to run, purely because of the hills, well apart from the scenes which are absolutely amazing. Anyway, I did just over a mile and then decided, you know what, I'm going to sack this off because I can't be bothered running up hills the whole time. It's less than ideal. So I went down the beachfront, sat down there for a few minutes, pondered life, as we do on holiday, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to go up to the gym and see if I can get in on the treadmill. But it was 20 minutes early, and then typical, got up to the gym. It's not even supposed to be open yet, and there's a guy on the treadmill. So, which is fine. So I decided to go up and do 30 minutes on the bike instead. I haven't really done much biking in the last, probably about 6 months since the winter, purely because biking's boring for one when it's indoors, and I've just been enjoying my running because it's been the summer, and obviously I do jiu-jitsu when I'm not perpetually injured. I can't even tense my bicep, babe. That's how you know it's bad. But anyway, I did 30 minutes on the bike. It was probably one of the sweatiest sessions I've done in a very long time, purely because it's like 31, 32 degrees at 7:30 in the morning, which is good, just to, you know, test my heat acclimation. We're going to go for breakfast now, and then we've got a busy day of hiking, we've got runs to do, we've got snorkeling, we've got mountain climbing, we've got sprints to do, we've got swimming with dolphins. But apart from that, it's pretty chilled. But we're going to go for breakfast now, and I'm going to fuel up a little bit. But as I said on the previous clip, breakfast is always high protein, high fat, and then lunch, I'm going to delve into that in the next clip. So it is currently 6:30 in the evening, and we're on our third night. But for lunch, I like to keep it the same as breakfast. When I used to go to these all-inclusives where you get lunch, breakfast and dinner all included, as I said, on breakfast I just go full YOLO mode, so it'd be high protein, high carb, high fat, and then for lunch I'd pretty much do the same. So think having burgers or sandwiches, and then I'd have some type of snacks as well, and I'd look at getting in maybe 1,500 calories on lunch alone, after probably about 1,500 calories on breakfast. And that's before you've come to your dinner, which is often the biggest meal you'll have. So what I do now is pretty much the same as breakfast. So I'll have a high protein, higher fat, but very low carb. And the advantage of that as well is not just keeping the calories a bit low and keeping the protein high, is that I feel less bloated because the carbs aren't high. For example, as you would have seen on the clip, we had some chicken thigh skewers, which are a little bit higher calorie than chicken breast, but it's fine and they're absolutely delicious. And some salads as well. So Greek salad and a mango salad. All of that was probably in total for maybe 800, 900, but then split between the two of us, because we shared it, you're looking at around, what, maybe 400 to 400 maybe, 450, give or take, because the dips which they come with, there'll be a bit of oil, a bit of fat in that. But I'd highly recommend, if you are someone who wants to keep the calories down and just feel a little bit less bloated, to go high protein, high fat on breakfast and lunch. And then once you get a dinner, which I'll talk about later in the clip, because I have a specific tactic on that, which you definitely don't want to miss out on. But as I said, it's just gone 6:30, third night, and we're looking forward to it. How are you finding it up to now?
Good. Hot.
I'll try and give a little bit of a ring to it, but it is a little bit messy. So as you can see here, that was just vlogging in, which decent, although I don't think I've ever seen, I can't remember staying in a hotel where the sink isn't really cornered off by anything. And then we've got the double bed here. We've got a massive selfie mirror, just in case I want selfies and videos, or maybe vlog style shots like this. They probably knew I was coming. Massive mirror across here. TV, which, well, we're probably not going to use and we haven't used yet. We've got a shower and toilet here, although it's a little bit, I find it a little bit weird. It's got a wall dividing it. Obviously I have an extensive knowledge on architecture, so you probably should listen to me. And then we've got the outdoor bit, which I've shown a few times before, but it is unbelievable. Pretty nice little room and an amazing view, I've got to say. Anyway, good little time out from my day to do all these check-ins with a good bunch of my clients. So, although what I always recommend is, if you can, opt for something which is higher protein. And in the resources, I do have some guides about snacking and eating out as well, which might be quite useful for you to go through. That answers everything, and I'll be back to my usual office next week. So it is now Thursday, and I'm currently taking a time out to do some client check-ins. So it is absolutely boiling outside. It's 37 degrees, I do believe, when it has been for the last few days. I'm not someone who really tans too amazingly well, but I've been in the sun. But it's check-in day with my clients, and I don't want to be that guy who just completely abandons my clients while I'm on holiday. Obviously, that means I need to take a little bit of time out, spending with my missus, but I'm sure she'll live. If she divorces me for that, then maybe I picked the wrong girl. But I'm going to take you through a little bit of my client check-in process, and I want to show you some of the progress some of them have been making. As you can see, I've got one client here, and he started with me on the 6th of July, so that's only, as of recording this, around 6 weeks ago, and his weight was 78.6 kilo, and we track it every day, we track his steps, we track everything else, and as of this morning, he was 74.1. So that's, give or take, around, what's that, quick maths, 4.5 kilo down in around 6 weeks. And you're probably thinking, well, that is quite a lot of weight loss in that time. Well, if you look, we actually track his average as well. So he started at 70, his average for his first week was 77.3. His average towards the end of this week, obviously he hasn't finished the week yet, it's only Thursday, is 74.5. So actually, it's around 3 kilos of weight loss on average, which for someone, this is an older guy, an older gentleman, he's not someone who's in his 20s or 30s, he's someone who is a little bit older, so things are a little bit different. Your testosterone is just slightly lower compared to when you're in your 20s or even early 30s, so we've just got to manage that a little bit. But he came to me as someone who wanted to lose weight, he wanted to build a bit of strength, and he just could not push through, and he could not get to that point where he was getting down to 70 kilo. He tried multiple different things, he'd watched videos on YouTube, and he just wasn't quite happy with where he was. So when he came to me, he said, look, I want to get down to 70 kilo. I don't have loads of time to spend in the gym. I want to feel great in my clothes. I want to look in the mirror and I want to feel confident with how I look on that random Tuesday morning when I'm jumping in the shower.
and I want to feel like I've got a hold on everything, so that when I go on holiday or when I've got a busy week at work, I'm not thinking in my head, oh fucking hell, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to program my training, I don't know how to keep on top of my nutrition, because that is something he struggled with. We found his protein was really low, and this is something where he was only at 60 to 70 grams of protein most days. So his recovery wasn't great because his protein was low, and he didn't know how to go about it. But only 6 weeks on, he's lost on average around 3 to 4 kilos, a little bit more if you look at his starting weight to his actually where he is now, and we're already close to his goal. Now, that doesn't mean to say that everyone's goal is weight loss, and it also doesn't mean to say that once we hit his target goal at 70 kilo, whether that's in give or take around another 8 to 10 weeks, because it will get a little bit slower inevitably, that doesn't mean to say he's hit it and then see you later. We then move on to the next goal, where we look at either maintaining that or we move into the next block, which is building a bit of muscle. So with all my clients, I'm setting the short term, but also the long term, so that we work together on a basis which we've always got longevity in mind. Nothing which is a quick fix, I guess you could say. And another client here I want to show you, who started off with me, again, similar time to my other client around 6-7 weeks ago. He was someone who was a bit heavier, around 115 kilos, and now, as of his weight this morning, he was 111.7. And this is all tracked on sheets. You track absolutely everything with all my clients. And this is obviously someone who has a bit more weight to lose. And again, that doesn't mean to say that all my clients come to me just for weight loss. They don't. I have a lot of clients who have goals of just gaining strength, building muscle, and they don't want to lose much weight at all. But these two clients do. And they're at two slightly different ends of the spectrum, where the first client I told you about only had around 8 to 10 kilo to lose, whereas this guy has a bit more to lose. This person is a little bit older than me, but not as old as the first client, and he'd been going around in circles for years. He previously signed up with another online coach where he was sold the dream, he was sold that and the other, and then he was just passed on to another coach of his team. And I really do not agree with that. All of my clients work with me directly. You may have seen on some of the B-roll footage I've just put over, I record check-in recordings, video recordings of me, where we go through everything. We go through his coaching log, his training program. We cover people's form in the gym, so that it's in-depth and it's personable. And with this guy, he was struggling with going round in circles. He was struggling with losing that weight. He was struggling to stay on track with his kids, with his work. And he wasn't too sure on what he needed to do to really push through the plateau and really get to a point where he could look in the mirror and feel happy with all the goals he's made. He could feel confident when he goes on holiday with his kids. He could feel more confident within himself when he looks at himself in the mirror on that random Tuesday morning. I know I like that analogy, but you get the point. And ultimately, this is a collaborative process where we need to work together to figure out what is going to work for you and figure out the plan moving forward, because everyone is different. And if you're someone who has been trying to get to the point where you go on holiday, you've got your vest off around the pool, you're in your swimming shorts or your bikini if you're a woman, and you don't want to feel like you're a little bit self-conscious, you don't want to have that thought in your mind where you're thinking, oh, I'm not really in the shape I want to be, I know I said I wanted to be this way, I know I wanted to be a little bit more muscular, and I don't want people looking at my stomach, I don't want to feel like people look at me and think, oh, he's out of shape. And you want to get to a point where you're strutting around the pool, you're putting your factor 50 on, and you're confident with how you look, and you are confident with all the work you've put in, because your arms are a little bit bigger, you have less body fat around the stomach, and it makes you think in your head, you don't tell anyone, but you think, you know what, I'm feeling really good about myself. Your missus notices it, she's telling you, whether it's just an offhanded comment, but it sticks with you. And those type of comments and those type of feelings are what the transformation process is all about. It's not just about getting abs and being in shape. It's about how that makes you feel when you're on the next holiday, when you're out with the lads, when you're on date night with a missus and she makes that offhanded comment, or when you're in the pub and then you're in the toilets and you've got a t-shirt on and one of your mates makes an off-the-cuff comment on how big your arms are getting, and they ask, oh, have you been going to the gym? What have you been doing? And those type of comments stick with you. So if you want that, you can download my Softer Lean completely free 4-week program, link to the description. It's built for people who don't want to spend hours in the gym but want these type of results. So that's enough of that. I think I need to go back out and get amongst it, because it's now 1 o'clock and I'm really hungry, and looking at those views, it looks like it's going to be another warm one. So the plan for the rest of the day is pretty much just chill around the pool, get a bit more of a tan if I can, because as I said, I don't really tan that well anyway, and try not to burn. And then I'm going to tell you exactly how I go about eating dinner while I'm abroad to make sure that I try and stay in shape as best as possible. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. So that was one of the sweatiest sessions. I feel like whenever I do cardio over here, it's something different than you get in England. Don't get me wrong, in the summer in England, I sweat. Over here, it's just different gravy. So I actually managed to get on the treadmill today. I managed to get on and do some intervals. So how I've been doing it is, first day was Monday, we arrived, I didn't train that day, but then Tuesday, which was our first full day, was a full body gym session, which you would have seen on the earlier clip. Wednesday, I got out for the run, where I managed to get out for a little bit outside and then finished off on the bike indoors. Yesterday, I ended up doing another full body gym session, today a run, so I'm pretty much just alternating between full body gym sessions and then runs. So today is Friday, we've got another few days left. I'll most likely do one more gym session tomorrow, and then Sunday may run, but I'll see how I feel. And a lot of people don't like training when they're on holiday at all. They just want to go away and enjoy it. Unbelievable, that's great for you, and I've done that as well. But on these types of holidays, especially where I'm lounging around a little bit more by a pool, I personally prefer to feel like I'm getting a workout in the morning. If when me and my wife are on a city break, for example, we've been to Florence, we've been to a load of Italy cities actually, and when we're walking around a lot, I'll actually feel less inclined to train because I know I'm doing 1,000,001 steps anyway, so I'm already burning a lot of calories. So that's just how I do it. And then we're moving on to dinner, which is the final topic of the video. So as I've said, to recap, breakfast, high protein, high fat, which we're going to go to in a minute, low carb. Lunch, high protein, high fat, low carb, probably around 400 to 500 calories each for breakfast, probably around 500-600 calories for lunch. So, and then maybe the odd few sweets or an ice cream in the afternoon, like a lower calorie one. So by the time I get to dinner, I've only eaten maybe 1,400 calories. And that's obviously with a workout in. I've been sweating a lot during the day, so I'm constantly burning a lot. And then dinner is where I pretty much just give myself free rein to YOLO. So that once I get to dinner, I don't feel like, one, I'm restricting myself and feel like I have to go low carb or low fat. I just want to enjoy myself. So I'll literally just get anything I want. Often I will still try and err on the side of getting a high protein meal, but apart from that, like the last few nights I've had 3 courses. So for example, last night, our favourite taverna down the front along the beach, which was a classic Greek taverna. We had a Greek salad to share, to starters, and then I got chicken thighs with potatoes, which over here, it's smothered in oil. It's unbelievably tasty, but it is smothered in oil. And then dessert, I got an orange cake, a big slab of what. So I'm not holding back, and I'm doing that most nights. But that is how I managed to stay relatively lean and keep somewhat of my shape while I'm on holiday. And that's the tactic I recommend to all of my clients as well. And if you're someone, again, who doesn't want to do this, who doesn't care about going on holiday, and you're not bothered about coming back feeling sluggish, and you're not bothered about feeling a bit bloated, and you just want to go away and enjoy it, then amazing. This video isn't for you. If you're someone who, sort of similar to myself, who wants to come back not feeling like a Mr. Blobby, then I'd recommend following this tactic. But it's Friday, it's another unbelievable day, and we're going to have another day of, well, pretty much chilling. There's only so much you can do when you've got a wife who is 20, going on 22 weeks pregnant, and we're really enjoying it. We're going to chill around the pool today. It's meant to actually rain a little bit later, which is not ideal, but it's been so hot the last few days that I actually don't mind. Okay, so I am back home now, and it's Tuesday, the day after landing back home. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. If you're wondering exactly what I eat in a day, my exact 2,200 calorie diet to get to 10% body fat on a normal week, which isn't me on holiday, then click this video somewhere over here. Watch it next.